Hello children, this is for Form 4 Human Biology Unit 1. In this video, we are going to discuss about cells. So here, you will find out the structure and function of cells. After discussing this part, you should be able to fulfill following objectives. First one, to recognize cell structures as seen with the light microscope and transmission electron microscope, including nucleus, chromosomes, cell membrane, mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, and ribosomes, and also to describe their function. And to understand that cells are grouped into tissues and tissues are organized into organs. And then to describe the structure of bone, muscle, blood, nervous tissue and epithelium tissue. And know that there are different types of stem cells, embryonic and adult stem cells, which have the ability to develop into other body cells. We will see what is a cell. Cell is the structural and functional unit of all living organisms. So just as bricks forms a building, cells make up a living organism. Cells are capable of performing many functions like digestion of food, respiration, excretion and reproduction. So the study of cells has started about 300 years ago with the invention of microscope. When we considering about human body, it is composed of countless millions of cells. There are different types of cells which are specialized to perform various functions, such as nerve cells, muscle cells, blood cells, kidney cells, and etc. You can see a typical animal cell. Animal cells are eukaryotic cells, which means they have an organized nucleus and membrane enclosed organelles. Here also you can see there are organelles like nucleus, mitochondrion, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi apparatus, ribosomes and lysosomes. So what is an organelle? An organelle is a subcellular structure which has one or more specific jobs to perform in the cell. It's just like an organ does in the body. So among them, the most important cellular organelle is the nucleus. It stores the genetic information. Apart from that, mitochondria, ribosome, endoplasmic reticulum, also important organelles. So here you can see eukaryotic animal cell which is viewed under the light microscope. They are cell membrane, cytoplasm, nucleus and mitochondria can be observed. And then this is the image of eukaryotic animal cell viewed using a transmission electron microscope. Here, apart from the nucleus and mitochondria, there are endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi apparatus and ribosomes also. So in each and every cell there are three main sections. First one cell membrane, second one nucleus which stores the genetic information, and third one is cytoplasm. Now let us identify those components of cell one by one. First, cell membrane. It is the outer layer of the cell. It is composed of phospholipid bilayer with embedded proteins. So this forms a boundary between cytoplasm and outside of the cell. Some chemicals can pass into the cell and others can pass out of the cell. Therefore, we call this membrane as partially permeable membrane. And also, this membrane can actively control the movement of some substances. Therefore, it is also known as a selectively permeable membrane. Selectively permeable membrane. And then, cytoplasm. It is a jelly-like fluid which contains dissolved nutrients and salts. Organelles are embedded in the cytoplasm. Then the nucleus. This is the control center of the cell. It dictates all the cellular activities. And it contains chromosomes which carry the genetic material. Genes control the activities of the cell by determining the protein structure. Ribosome. In the nucleus, there is a structure called nucleolus. Ribosomes are produced by this nucleolus. So, the function of ribosome is to synthesize proteins. So, in each and every cell, there are three main sections. First one, cell membrane. Second one, nucleus, which stores the genetic information. And third one is cytoplasm. Then mitochondria. Mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. They generate most of the chemical energy needed to the biochemical reactions. So, chemical energy produced from this is stored as ATP molecules. So, then Golgi apparatus. Those are curved shaped sacs which contain enzymes. Those are found in between endoplasmic reticulum and cell membrane. The main function of Golgi apparatus is transporting, modifying and packaging proteins and lipids into vesicles for delivery to targeted destinations. So then, chromosomes, genes and DNA. What do you mean by DNA? DNA means deoxyribonucleic acid. It is the chemical that carries out the inheritance. DNA is usually found in the nucleus of a cell in the structures called chromosomes, where you can find DNA in nucleus in the structures called chromosomes, and a section of DNA which determines particular feature is called a gene. Gene is a section of DNA which determines particular feature. Genes determine a person's characteristic. Genes determine a person's characteristic by instructing cells to produce particular proteins. And each chromosome contains one DNA molecule. Each chromosome contains one DNA molecule, and the DNA is coiled around a protein called histones. So you can see that from this picture. So then, differentiation of cells. All humans begins their life as a zygote, which is a single cell. It is formed by fertilizing an eggshell. So this will divide into 2 cells and then to 4 cells, then to 8 cells and so on until an embryo formed. So this process is carried out by mitosis. And as the developing embryo grows, the cells becomes specialized to perform particular roles. So now let us see what is this mean by differentiation of cells. So by the definition it says it is a process by which cells becomes specialized in order to perform a particular role which is under the control of genes. So different kinds of cells develop depending upon their location in the embryo. So here you can see some examples of cells which have specialized to perform various functions. So here first one you can see nerve cell. Nerve cell, you can see a elongated part called as axon. It is for carrying nerve impulses. And then a smooth muscle cell. This smooth muscle cell located in the wall of intestine and it is also shape is elongated. This can contract to move food through the gut. And then blood cells. So here you can see white blood cell and red blood cell. So if we consider about red blood cell, the shape is biconcave shape. The specialty is in the red blood cell is it does not have nucleus. It contains hemoglobin to carry out oxygen throughout the body. So then if we consider white blood cells can change its shape to surround and destroy a bacteria. So white blood cells can fight against bacteria. And then sperm cells. Their sperm cell is the head of sperm cell contains genes from the father. And this tail is for swimming. So then ciliated epithelium cell. Those cells are present in the trachea. It lines the passages and this there are hair-like cilia which move mucus along the lining of the trachea. So now let's have a look on muscle cells. There are 3 types of muscle cells in human body. First one is cardiac muscle cells, then skeletal muscle cell, then smooth muscle cells. So now let's identify the structure and function of those muscle cells. So first one is voluntary muscle. It is also known as skeletal muscle. So those skeletal muscles are mostly attached to the bones. So if we consider about the structure, it is straighted and not branched and has many nuclei. So the main function is to maintain posture and to contract to move bones. And we can control this contraction according to our will. That means it is under the voluntary control by brain. So then involuntary muscle. It is also known as smooth muscle. If we consider about the structure, it is not straighted and not branched also, and has single nucleus. And function, if we consider about the function, it shows slow rhythmic contraction in walls of gut and blood vessels, and this we cannot control this process, so we call this, it is not under the voluntary control. So then cardiac muscle. Cardiac muscles are present only in heart. It is the specialty. So if we consider about the structure, it is straighted and branched and has many nuclei. So as I say earlier, it present only in heart and contracts rhythmically and constantly throughout the life without tiring. The specialty here is it contracts rhythmically without tiring throughout the lifetime. So we cannot control the contraction of cardiac muscle cell also. So this is also not under the voluntary control. So tissues. So what is a tissue? Tissue is a group of cells that have a similar structure and it acts together to perform a specific function. Tissue is a group of cells that have a similar structure and act together to perform a specific function. And there are 4 types of tissues in human body. First one, muscle tissue, then connective tissue, then epithelial tissue, then nervous tissue. So if we consider about muscle tissues can be found in 3 types: cardiac muscle, involuntary muscle and voluntary muscle. And if we consider about the connective tissue, it can be present in blood and bone. So if we consider about blood is mainly consist of red blood cells and white blood cells, and also there is a liquid plasma. And then bones. Bone is a tissue made out from cells that secrete a hard material made of calcium salts. So then epithelial tissue. Epithelial tissues lines organs. Example, ciliated epithelium cells present in trachea. Then nervous tissue. Nervous tissue makes up brain, spinal cord and nerves. So then levels of organization in human body. It starts from atoms. So atoms will form a molecule. Molecules form organelles. Organelles form a cell, and cells forms a tissue. Tissues form organ. Organ forms an organ system, and finally by collecting many organ systems together, it forms an organism. So this is the levels of organization in human body. And now we will see what is an organ. So organ is a collection of tissues that carry out a particular function. Here you can see some of the organs present in human body. So first one, stomach, then brain, heart, kidneys, liver, intestines, lungs, bladder and female and male reproductive systems. For female reproductive system, there's ovary, and for male, there's testes. Here you can see how those organs are located in human body. So then we will look what are the stem cells. So stem cells are unique cells present in the body that have potential to differentiate into various cell types, or it can divide many times by mitosis to produce other stem cells. So later they can differentiate into specialized cells. So simply stem cells are undifferentiated cells. They have potential to differentiate. So in humans there are two main types of stem cells. So first one is embryonic stem cells and the other one is adult stem cells. So embryonic stem cells are found in early stage of development of the embryo. So embryonic stem cells can differentiate into any type of body cell, and adult stem cells are found only in certain adult tissues such as bone marrow, skin and lining of intestine. They have lost the ability to differentiate into any type of cell but can form a number of specialized tissues. So for an example, bone marrow cells can divide into produce different types of red and white blood cells. So now let's see about stem cell therapy. So what is stem cell therapy? It is the use of stem cells to treat or prevent a disease or to repair damaged tissues. Then bone marrow transplant is the widely used type of stem cell therapy at present, and those are used to treat patients with leukemia. So here some cancer treatments like chemotherapy use chemicals to kill cancer cells. So but what happens there, at the same time killing the cancer cells, they will also destroy the healthy body cells also. So the bone marrow transplant can supply stem cells that can divide and differentiate to replace the cells that lost from the body during those chemotherapies. So actually bone marrow and other adult stem cells are readily available, but they have limited ability to differentiate into other types of cells. So therefore scientists have tended to isolate and culture embryonic stem cells. They have obtained from fertility clinics where parents donate their unused embryos for research. But so far the treatments using embryonic stem cells have not progressed very much. Those are still at the experimental stage, and because there are number of problems, many people have moral and ethical views regarding this. So even though one day this might be used to cure many diseases. So here you can see how stem cell therapy is conducting. So first there should be a donor and a patient, and from the donor stem cells are taken with blood from the bone marrow, and they should be isolated. and isolated and processed. After that, they should be infused to the patient. So this is the process. So hope you have got an idea about human cells, organelles present in human cells, and differentiation of cells, and tissues present in human body, organs, and then stem cells, stem cell therapy. So now you can get a piece of paper and answer these questions. First one, draw a diagram of generalized animal cell as seen through a light microscope, and then label all the parts and write the function of each part. Then what's a chromosome and what is a differentiation of cell? So thank you all for listening.